The History of Reiki. Part 1. Mikao Usui, the founder of Usui Reiki Ryoho. The system of Reiki we practice today is called Usui Reiki Ryoho, which translates to the Usui spiritual healing method. It was developed by Mikao Usui, also known as Usui Sensei, a Japanese lay monk who was born in the village of Taniai on August 15th, 1865. Mikao Usui was born to wealthy parents. He was very intelligent and pursued his studies with enthusiasm. He studied medicine, psychology, religion, and divination, and his studies eventually led him to Europe and China. Usui-sensei was fascinated by the mystical, and also became a member of an organization called the Rei-Jayutu-Ka, a metaphysical organization that focused on the development of psychic abilities. He also practiced Kiko as a child, which is the Japanese form of Qigong. Usui-sensei was skilled in many areas and had experience working in many different positions. He would be considered something of a Renaissance man by today's standards. These various jobs, such as civil servant, company employee, journalist, and secretary to Shinpei Goto, who later became the mayor of Japan, helped him make connections that eventually led to him becoming a successful businessman. Although Usui-sensei was very accomplished, he had a longing for a deeper and more fulfilling life experience. He began studying and searching for the meaning of life, and came across a description of a state of consciousness known as Anshin Ditsume. It was described as a feeling of deep inner peace that welled up spontaneously from within, and was unique in that it didn't require any special effort from the individual to achieve it. Mikao Usui decided to devote his life to achieving this state of consciousness. He began by studying with a Zen master, as he had learned that Zen meditation was one path towards achieving the special state of enlightenment known as Anshin Ditsume. Usui-sensei studied with a Zazen master for 3 years and still had not achieved what he had set out to accomplish. His teacher explained to him that there was a more intense method to achieve Anshin Ditsume, but that in order to achieve it, the practitioner must be willing to die first. Usui-sensei was determined to achieve this form of enlightenment and decided to take his teacher's advice. He prepared to die and traveled to Mount Kurama, a holy mountain in Japan that is located north of Kyoto. Mikao Usui intended to fast and meditate until his physical body passed to the next world, and he achieved the deep state of spontaneous inner peace that he was seeking. Master Usui fasted and meditated for 21 days on Mount Kurama without food. There is a special waterfall on Mount Kurama that people still visit to this day to meditate under, and it is believed by many that Mikao Usui-sensei also used this form of meditation during his time on Mount Kurama, standing below the waterfall and allowing the water to flow over the crown of his head. This practice cleansed and greatly activated the crown chakra. Needless to say, after 21 days of fasting and meditation in isolation on the mountain, Master Usui became very weak and near death. He used small stones to keep track of his time on the mountain, as he had no other method to keep track of time. At midnight of the 21st day of his fast, in March of 1922, a great, bright light flowed into his mind through the crown of his head, and Mikao Usui was rendered unconscious. While unconscious, Mikao Usui experienced a download of divine intelligence that revealed to him the beautiful symbols that would become part of the Usui system of Reiki healing. Master Usui didn't realize at first what he was seeing, as his intention had been to achieve enlightenment and inner peace, not to develop a system of spiritual development and healing. When morning came, Usui-sensei woke and had the joyful realization that where he had previously felt weak and near death from fasting, he now felt revitalized and filled with an incredible, high-vibration spiritual energy. His entire perception of reality had shifted, and he experienced cosmic consciousness, realizing that he was a part of all there is, and that everything was also a part of him. He felt alive and invigorated and realized with delight that he had achieved his goal of reaching Anshin Ditsume. Mikao Usui was filled with happiness and rushed down the mountain to share with his Zen master what had taken place. In his haste, he stubbed his toe hard and fell in pain. He reached out reflexively to hold his bleeding, painful toe in his hands, and realized with astonishment after a few moments that the pain was gone and his toe was healed. As he held his toe, he perceived healing energy moving through his hands and into his foot. Mikao Usui had the realization that in addition to achieving his desired state of enlightenment, he had also been granted a miraculous gift of healing. It became clear to him that this gift was given for a divine purpose, that he was intended to devote his life to alleviating suffering and teaching others to do the same. So how did the system of Usui Reiki go from one man's miraculous experience in isolation on a holy mountain to a system of spiritual development and healing that is practiced in every country in the world? It's hard to fathom the kind of effort that would be required to spread the teaching so widely, especially in the 1920s and the following decades that predated the internet and the instant communication of ideas. I feel the answer lies in the Reiki energy itself. Reiki has divine intelligence and its own will. It wants to help us and help alleviate the suffering of all beings. As Mikao Usui made himself a channel for the energy to work through him, it began to magnetize situations and opportunities to help others and spread the healing energy throughout the world. As practitioners, we need to remain open ourselves to the Reiki energy, do our inner work, practice diligently, and remain humble. The Reiki energy will continue to work within us and through us. In April of 1922, Usui Sensei moved to Tokyo to begin spreading the system of Usui Reiki Ryoho. He founded an organization called the Usui Reiki Ryoho Gakkai, which translates to Usui Reiki Healing Method Society, and which still exists to this very day in Japan. Master Usui also opened his clinic in Harajuku, Tokyo, and offered healing and taught students. Bear in mind that Master Usui began working solely with the healing energy and had not yet developed a system to develop spiritually with Reiki, or to train others to work with it as well. There was a great earthquake and tsunami in Kanto, Japan in 1923 that killed and injured thousands of people. During this time, Usui Sensei got a great deal of practice healing and helping people with Reiki. He would spend many, many days sharing Reiki energy with people who were injured and dying as the people of Kanto struggled to recover from the natural disaster. Usui Sensei knew that many more healers were needed, and it was this experience that led him to develop a method over time to train teachers and healers more quickly. After the earthquake, Usui Sensei refined and developed his Japanese Reiki healing techniques, such as Gassho meditation, Kenyoku, Joshin Kokyoho, and Hatsureiho. He also created a system of passing Reiki attunements on to others, known as Reiju, and created a curriculum for the system of Reiki, dividing it into multiple levels. Demand for Reiki continued to grow and increased to the point where he needed to expand his practice and build another clinic in Nakano, Japan. Mikao Usui built his second clinic, and as his reputation spread, he traveled across Japan spreading the teachings. Before he passed on, Mikao Usui initiated over 2,000 Reiki students, a tremendous gift to the world. Because of his honorable work to help others, Mikao Usui was gifted the Kunsanto Award from the Japanese government. His work completed, Mikao Usui left the physical body on March 9, 1926, when he suffered a fatal stroke. Dr. Chujiro Hayashi. Before his death, Usui-sensei initiated Dr. Hayashi as a Reiki master. Dr. Hayashi started his own clinic in Tokyo. A former naval doctor, Hayashi-sensei kept meticulous records and developed a system of hand placement protocols for different illnesses. He also was the first to begin offering Reiki treatments with the client laying on a table or bed, where treatments had previously been given with the client seated in a chair. Dr. Hayashi had friends and contacts in Hawaii, and during the Second World War he was asked by the Japanese government to give information on potential targets for their attacks. Hayashi-sensei refused to be a part of harming others in this way, and would not give the Japanese government the information they requested. As a result of his disobedience, his family would be shamed and lose face. Japanese culture values honor above all else, and losing face in this way would result in his family being outcast from society. There was also the possibility that his family could be blackmailed or used as leverage to make Dr. Hayashi give the government the information they desired. With no other option, Hayashi-sensei chose to commit ritual suicide, known as seppuku in Japan. Hayashi-sensei died honorably on May 11th, 1940. Mrs. Hayao Takata. Mrs. Hayao Takata was born in Hawaii to Japanese parents on December 24, 1900. She was married and had 2 children. Her husband worked at a plantation and died in 1930, which meant she had to work very hard to provide for her family, and her health suffered greatly as a result. She became ill and was diagnosed with a tumor, gallstones, appendicitis, and asthma. Mrs. Takata was told to have surgery, but she had heard of Reiki healing and decided to attend Dr. Hayashi's clinic in Japan instead. Although she did not tell them what the doctors in Hawaii had said, Mrs. Takata was impressed when the practitioners at Dr. Hayashi's clinic were able to closely match the diagnosis that she received. She was amazed by the heat she felt from their hands during her treatments, and checked their kimono sleeves for hidden heaters, much to the practitioner's amusement. After 4 months of treatment, Mrs. Takata was fully healed. She wanted to learn Reiki and received first-degree training from Dr. Hayashi in the spring of 1936, then continued to work with him for a year to receive her second degree. In 1937, she returned to Hawaii, followed closely thereafter by Dr. Hayashi, who wanted to work to establish Reiki in the West. In February of 1938, Takata-sensei became initiated as a Reiki master. Mrs. Takata taught Reiki differently. She insisted it be taught as an oral tradition and permitted no notes or manuals. Takata-sensei charged $10,000 US for the master level and made her students promise to do the same as a way of instilling respect for the Japanese Reiki practice in the United States during the Second World War, a time when many Japanese people were treated with suspicion. During the course of her practice, Mrs. Takata initiated 22 Reiki masters. If not for her, Reiki would not have spread to the West. One of her students, Iris Ishikura, broke her vow and decided to teach Reiki for an affordable cost, as she felt it needed to spread as rapidly as possible and be accessible to all who wished to learn. Because of this reason, Most Reiki practitioners in the West today can trace their lineage to Iris Ishikura. Today, Usui Reiki is practiced in every country in the world.